Hello everybody, welcome to another speedrun game with the black pieces against Mirko Kojambo. You know what, I'll play d6 here too. Um, it's not the perk, but it will resemble it, and that will make some of you happy. I really want to play e5 though, but that's not the speedrun, although neither is the King's Indian, but whatever. Let's keep the moves the same, and we'll see how it differs from an e4 opening. See, already you're asking for trouble. As black, you don't stop e4, you let them create a huge center. If you don't know what you're doing, you can and will get crushed. So let's just develop and see how this progresses. I just want to find a good square for all of my pieces. Let's castle, and now we're in a starting position. We can play h6 just to put the question to the bishop, but now we can't because he stops us and prepares long castling. Fine. Now this isn't the Pirc. It is a different opening. There's no pawn on e4. There is a pawn on c4. Fine. We'll develop a piece. Pressure the knight. Maybe we can double his pawns if we want. And the goal is just to get our pieces out. I don't want to do anything but get my pieces out and see what happens. This is completely null theory. I don't play the King's Indian. No idea how it works. So he goes for the trade of bishops, which is fine. Just extra moves he's making. I don't really mind seeing it. I'm going to develop my other knight towards the center, and he can take my bishop. I don't want to take his knight until he provokes me with h3, so that he spends his turn on h3. Is he not going to take my bishop? Why'd he put it there? There we go. Maybe now h3 or castles, or the e-pawn, I guess. Let's see which one he chooses. These are the moves that make some sense. He goes for the bishop. Let's just get it out of the way so it's not a liability. We double his pawn so he can never support this d-pawn now with e3. So it looks a little bit loose, tiny bit. But he can protect it with other pieces. In any case, fine. Let's see if we can continue what we're doing. You can play e5 or c5, so you can fight for the center, open your queen. e5. You could do that. c5. c6. Okay, I'm going to start with this weird move a5. And basically his pawn mass on the king side is just a defending pawn mass. It's completely useless as an offensive unit. So the only expansion he can really do is the queen side. a5 is a really nice move just to include. So if he ever tries it, you at the very least A, slow it down, and B, open up your rook. He puts his bishop here, but this is in a square that's attackable by this knight once I move his d-pawn. How do I move his d-pawn? Again, e5 or c5. I'm leaning towards one of them. I guess let's just go e5. Centers can hardly be wrong or incorrect. The problem is I don't know how I want to recapture. Maybe just rook e8, but then f4. And am I asking for nonsense? If I take with the pawn, f4 anyway. If I take with the knight, I hit his bishop, which I kind of like, but I always can hit it anyway on c5. Which way do I take? If I move that pawn, takes anything. Okay, I'm going to take with the pawn. Keep my pawn mass. This threatens to win the bishop, which is a detail, because the queen will be opened up. He could long castle or rook d1 to protect it, but I don't mind that. Okay, so he goes long castle. A bit odd. C pawn was moved. I already have a5 in. And this 4, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Wasn't expecting that. He's not attacking my central pawn, which I'm glad to see. So I think I'm in time to do this. Improve my piece with threats. Open up my queen. I don't want my queen to be opposite his rook, but maybe I should have gone c5. I don't really know. I think they're both fine. You know, if he moves his bishop somewhere, like here, which is a decent retreating move, I think I just take the queen and play an endgame. I mean, okay, so he moves his queen and hits my knight and the pawn. So we're looking at some sequence like takes, takes, here, 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 and then we have f6 and c6. So let's take the bishop, move our queen, unless he takes with the queen, but I doubt it. Yeah, let's move our queen and defend the pawn. He'll probably attack the pawn and develop. And instead of moving the rook, which would tether the rooks to each other, this knight's a little bit dominated. Oh. Okay, so he improves the knight, hits my queen. But now I want to move the knight, I have f6. So I don't see this working for him. He wants to take this way to get... I thought he was going to get a free attack. So he takes with the pawn to block his own rook. That doesn't make sense. Now, this is an outpost, so I can even blockade temporarily with the queen just to consolidate. It's interesting. I should probably get another piece in the game. Let's go here. Attack the pawn. We have this diagonal for our queen. His king is a little exposed. He has doubled pawns. We have a slightly better endgame with queen, you know, queen endgame, queen middle game, whatever this is. Doesn't matter what you call it. So he goes random pawn moves, which I'm happy to see because you should really play with your pieces. I have this interesting rook a6 move, which looks decent. I can also just start the blockade, which is also decent. But that blocks my queen a little, so let's go this route. I can always put this one here. Develop our last piece. I like lifting my rook, you know, to the third row as white, the sixth is black. He moves his king out of the way, but that gives us another turn, so I'm happy to see it. And now I can kind of attack this pawn 3 times. And he'll have to assign all of his units. The thing is, I'd like my queen outside of the chain, like here. I could always have f6, but let's say I go here, and he defends it with the other rook. And I just lift my rook up. He goes queen up. I go f6. I mean, that's kind of slow, though. I mean, it's an isolated pawn. You have to attack it, right? So he goes there. We can go b6, which closes his queen's access, protects our pawn. It's a little weird, though. Kind of want a triple stack. There is this weak pawn. You can go f6. It's a little bit interesting. You can go f4 since our queen's loose. Huh. Okay, let's make a preparatory move. He goes f4, but our queen's defended in this version. If we push past, we're hitting a rook. If he attacks the pawn, can we solidify it? Takes, takes. Our king is a little open, but it should work. Otherwise, takes. But then we have room for our queen. We can offer the trade. Let's take. It does get rid of his doubled pawn. It is less dynamic than pushing and going f5, but it's also principled in that it gives us nice piece activity. And he didn't even take back the pawn. It frees our queen and kind of consolidates our position for us in a way. And with our queen here, there's never anything against our king. But if you trade, you didn't even take back your pawn. Plus there's pressure here, so you're kind of voluntarily going into a losing endgame. If you go here, your king is kind of tethered to this pawn. I'd rather a pawn back it up. So here, but then you can move your king. So let's start with h6 because we want to protect this double pawn with a pawn, not a piece. See, now when he attacks it, we can just do it this way, and it's unassailable now. If you attack this pawn, there's an f6, so that's unassailable. So he can't do anything. If we go here, he's going to give us checks, so we don't get to pick up the pawn. But his rooks are combined, so we do have this, but calculate. Here, you got to be careful. Your rook's hit. So here, then you lose. But here, check. King somewhere, rook trade. That kind of lets him off the hook, though. But if I move my thing back here, I mean, that's unnecessary. He's stuck. He can't move. So I have this winning plan like this. I have lots of winning plans, so. Okay, he's moving up, I guess, to try to free a rook. But now I can come here. Because if takes, this is check. Takes, check. Here. That wins for me. Let's go for it. You should definitely calculate before you make a move like this because you don't want to. This could easily lose you the game if you're wrong. So, but what moves does he have? If he doesn't take, I take with whatever. Yeah. These two pawns are too fast because they're next to each other. So he takes, we throw in the check. So he doesn't have time to, win like in the other line. Then we throw in a check, then we take the pawn. Then he can try to win, but these two pawns are too fast. So this was my plan. You can take, or the cooler move is push, just because. It's not as good, of course, but you don't need to take this. It's just funny because he can't even promote. And he resigns, so. So let's go over that game. We go into this setup that I really don't know much about. How hard can it be? Bring your pieces out. Play in the center. Can't be too difficult. So now we have a starting position. We develop. Create room for our knight. We just develop a piece towards the center. He takes, so force move. He attacks our bishop, so force move. And the game is totally even. It's zeros all across the board, playable by both sides. I go a5 now. I told you this was a weird move, and I told you why I did it, but if you want to be principled, you should probably play in the center. c6, d5, e6. Why don't they list e5? Probably because he just always has this weird f4 resource because of the double pawn, but it's probably just playable as well. But I go a5. A little weird, but it's not going to collapse your position. And now I play e5, although maybe with this doubled f pawn, maybe c5 makes more sense. I keep also forgetting that d5 is always an option if you can get it off. Here, d5, wait, but d5 takes. Oh, you automatically win it back, but it's whatever. Wait, I didn't play that. I also didn't do that. Okay, yeah, I played e5. He takes. We take. I mean, it's a completely equal position. He long castles. We improve a piece. Um, and now, one of my inaccuracies. I could have gone queen d4, which is interesting because takes. The knight's hit. And you can always take with check and solidify with c5. That's cool. But not necessary. We trade pieces and move the queen to e7. He attacks the queen, which I don't think is the right move. It gives us some trades and some easy development. Because it's an isolated pawn, I want to pile up on it. You know, if he could put a pawn on one of these squares, I would not be doing what I'm doing. Because then you're wasting time. Your rooks don't belong here. But since it is isolated, we just pile up. My idea was to caro-kann gun it, triple, and then maybe one day play c6, taking advantage of a pin. So yeah. So here you just, I mean, black is slightly better at this point because we have the weakness to target. So we trade just to make life easy with the queen move. It goes from black being minus 0.5, so a little better, to minus 2 once he makes this move. Now our position, as I mentioned, is fully consolidated. He can't really do anything, and our position's perfect. No counterplay options. He trades, which of course has to be the end of the game for him, because it's a losing endgame down 2 pawns. As long as you keep this pressure here, he can never move. You could prepare c6 maybe by potentially moving a rook back so it doesn't come with this weird threat. But we go for the slow approach because we have infinite time. He's essentially locked down. He can't do anything. So in this position, I go for this winning plan because you create a passed pawn. It's a 3-on-2. So that's what I do. You could also do something on the king side. You can try to play around over here, but it's just easy to create this passed pawn because I don't have to do anything, and it's minus 5. I use this one opportunity to change plans to c6 only because he happened to put his king on a check square, and it makes this work. Otherwise, I would have just pushed my pawns probably. And because now I know I just convert into a game he can't win. So we keep it easy, we keep it simple. Some inaccuracies, but your opponents generally will not know the perfect engine line to take advantage of it, and they shouldn't, because why would they know that? So good luck in your chess. See you in the next one.